Shabbat Shalom, Mishpahat. This is Rabbi Simon, and here we are coming to another Sabbath, a great day of rest, and a good time to understand some of the scriptures that we've been given, because there's many angles that we can look at the scripture and get an understanding of what is and what is not. Now, I think that maybe I gave you a little testimony, which I think, well, rather than a testimony, a little cure. A lot of people, doesn't matter about age, this is not age related. I don't care what age you are, healing is always available. So, and God has given you longevity of life. It is up to you whether you want to keep longevity of life or whether you want to decrease your life. What happens is that, God gave us a long time to live. And just to give you an illustration, there was a clip that was running on social media regarding a man, a monk in the Himalayas, who is 300 years of age. Yeah, he's still living. He's 300 years of age. 300 years ago, he went into the hills, into the mountains, to just, seclude himself from the world. For whatever reason, he got, fed up with the world. He decided to go and just live there. And he had a small hut, probably very little food, because, he didn't have that much money, of course, being a monk. I don't know what his source of income was back then. And he probably had some food, water from the mountains. And all he did was sit there, meditate, and stay there. And this man survived 300 years. Okay, so when they brought him out of his hut, he was very, he looked kind of emaciated. Of course, he wasn't eating regular food every day. He was probably eating what little crumbs he had. But even on the what crumbs he had, and on the waters that in the mountains there was, and maybe he was eating whatever he could find locally, berries maybe, who knows what else, or maybe people donated to him food, like people come to you for instructions, for meditation, and whatever they did. But he was, his body was very skinny. He was like only 39 kilograms, tall man, but he emaciated a lot. But he is still walking, and he's 300 years of age. So I'm thinking, today, people are so ignorant that our ancestors, our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, they lived to ripe ages. And who says that you can't live to ripe age? Who says it? Well, your doctor says it, your nurse says it, your mother and father says it. Total baloney and rubbish. What rubbish, I say? You can live to 100 plus of age. I'm talking about a ripe age of 150, 160, 175 like Abraham. You can live to those ages even today. But it's in your hands. If you're going to eat junk food, if all you do is eat McDonald's and you rely on Burger King, that's your daily meal, then of course, don't blame God, when you die at 50. 55, 60, if you're lucky to make it to 60, because those foods aren't really the foods that you should be on all the time. Now, I'm not saying that you can't have a McDonald's every now and then, or you can't have a Burger King or KFC or whatever, these so-called fast foods. But here is the deal. If you looked after yourself, you cooked your own meals, either you cooked it, your mom cooked it, or your wife cooked it, and you ate those meals every day, like, you got the regular potatoes, cauliflower, and other vegetables out there. And I will encourage you not to delve too much into fruits. Listen, we've been given too much nonsense and too much garbage that we got to eat this and we got to, we've been kind of programmed, brainwashed by the media, by the people out there who want to sell us stuff. They want to sell us fruits, they want to sell us nuts, they want to sell us all sorts of rubbish. And we've been programmed to eat that rubbish. And we think, that's going to help us, and the idea is it's not going to help us. Listen, when I was living in the UK, right, the only fruit I would ever buy, I lived in the UK for a good 20, more than 20 years, but 20 years of my, life whilst I was working life. I was there as a kid as well, but as I grew up into an adult, when I was 20, 19, 20, 21 years of age, and I was, not eating a lot of fruit. I wouldn't buy it. No chance. People are going and buying apples and bananas and this, that, and the other, and peaches and grapes. And you know what I used to get? I used to get bananas sometimes, and my bananas used to go off. I might eat one banana, and the rest might go off. And rarely, the only other fruit I bought was cherries. I like cherries, and I bought some cherries. And here and there, occasionally, I might have cherries, but not regularly, occasionally. And that was it. I didn't touch fruit. Didn't want fruit. I did what I did do later when I was about, my 30s. I did have mango, I used to make mango smoothies. When mangoes used to come from Pakistan, and these, boxes, 6 mangoes in a box or 5 in a box, I used to buy a mango box and just take a mango out and make a smoothie. Add a little milk to it, add some sugar, and just make a smoothie and drink it. That was really the only fruit I had, and only in the summer months. And what is British summer? It's like 6 weeks if you're lucky. So that was it. I didn't buy the story that you have to eat fruit. I didn't believe in it, and even today, more so today, I don't believe in it, because your fruits today are laced with chemicals. They, instead of giving you good, they harm you. They are oversweetened. Some of these fruits are oversweetened, and some of them are laced with chemicals, especially in America. I don't know about other countries, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh. Those countries, they sometimes can do food corruption. They can inject them with sweeteners and stuff. But here I know this much, that the fruits that we buy over here, whether they come from Mexico or California, they are laced with chemicals, okay? And, herbicides, and they are extremely poisonous. So imagine that they put these on your fruits, and maybe vegetables as well, and they put them on there to protect them or kill off the bugs that come, so that they don't get damaged. But those chemicals, they seep into the fruit. So actually you're eating chemicals more so than fruit. So I would advise you to be cautious. Your life is in your hands. When I see young people dying in their 40s, it's not uncommon for me to think that these people did not take care of their health. Either through smoking, either through alcoholic drinks, or whatever, the balonies that people do today, I don't know what those things are. I don't even know, I don't go there, I don't touch it. No smoking, no alcoholic drinks, nothing. So for me, it just would be normally, here I don't do it. Here in America, I hardly have, what you call pop, soda, hardly. But if I was back home with the wife, I might have a cold drink, one cold drink every day, soft drink, just a soft drink, not one of these hard ones, not Pepsi and Coke, none of those. But maybe there's a popular drink over there, popular and not so popular, Sting. It's called Sting. It's just a cold drink with added vitamin C and vitamin E and stuff like that. And caffeine, of course. They add some caffeine in there. Bit like your Red Bull, but I don't do the Red Bull. I just do the Sting. And I just used to have that when I'm there. But when I'm not there, I don't over here. So the thing is this, right? I know that you and I are both capable of living well over into your 100. 150? Yeah, easy, 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 easy. I'm telling you, it's easy. And you can keep your skin healthy, and you can keep your face healthy, you can keep everything healthy if you just follow a few rules. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't follow those rules. A lot of people just delve into these chemical creams that they buy. Women, especially, they're buying these chemical creams and they're not even 50 and their skin starts to wither and they start to look old. Why? Because they're using chemical creams. So stop using chemical creams. Women, if you really want to use a cream, you want to make your own cream, then I suggest what you do is you take, and you're taking this from a physician, by the way. I am a physician and I can give this advice. What you do is you take for instance, the glycerin, which is almost in every lotion that you buy. You just take regular glycerin, and you can add some cream to it if you like. You can add some cream to it from the milk. You can add some coconut oil to it, and just use that on your skin. And you're gonna find you're gonna have beautiful skin. Now, there is another way to get beautiful skin. And I think that maybe you can find it here. I think you can. You can just get these little sticks. They are, what do you call them? Licorice. Licorice sticks. You can buy licorice sticks from Amazon or most health stores. You just get those sticks. You take a couple of sticks, you put it in water, and you leave it overnight. And then all you do is you can add, a little bit. Perhaps I would probably not add anything in there. If you're doing the licorice sticks, I would just take the licorice sticks and I would just put them in water, 2 or 3 sticks, 2 sticks in water overnight, and then take that water, strain it, and then just use that water to pat your skin. And that actually not only whitens your skin, but that also keeps your skin healthy. But the other way, like I said, is you take regular glycerin, which is very cheap, inexpensive, add some coconut oil to it, and you can add some cream to it, and then you just put it on your face in the evening before you go to bed, and in the morning you wake up, you wash your face off, and that's it. That's the only cream you need. You don't need any other fancy cream. Sure, if you want to use makeup, like if you want to use lipsticks and stuff, of course you can do that. There's no problem. If you like to do your makeup, sure, go ahead, do it. But for your face, I'm talking about to maintain your skin, young skin, you need to do what I just described. If you have knee pains, if you have pains in your joints as you're, for whatever reason, again, like I said, it's nothing to do with age. People get pains at any age. Here is a very simple remedy. What you do is you take white seeds, these, what do you call them? Til. We call them til in Hindi. And these til are sesame seeds, white sesame seeds, about small, half a spoon. You take small half a spoon in the morning, and you take a little gur. Gur is what? Jaggery. Very easy to purchase this from stores, online, etc. Back home, it's so cheap to buy this stuff. And then you just take a very small piece, very small amount, not a huge amount, maybe, half a spoon or quarter spoon of jaggery, and maybe a quarter spoon of these sesame white seeds, and you just chew them and eat them, and that's it. And if you do that regularly, I would suggest, if you have active joint pain and you're taking medication for it, pills and potions, I would say that start doing the jaggery and start doing the sesame seeds. You will find that your pain will go away. And there are other products on the market, natural products, I'm not a representative for any of them, but I can tell you that some of my students, what they've been using, like they use something called Nanosoma. It's a little bit expensive. It's $50. I wouldn't pay $50 for it, but some people want to pay $50 to get a little spray, and that spray, by the way, is made from jaggery. What they do, they remove some, through chemical process, They remove some of the stuff in jaggery. It's no longer sweet, and it's just bland, and you just spray it on your skin, and it's supposed to be good for all sorts of things. The makers, they say that it's good for many things, good for pains, good for flus and things like that. But like I said, right, you don't need to do that. You don't need to spend $50 when you can do it with $5 or less. $5 or less, yeah. I mean, how much is the sesame seeds going to cost you? How much is jaggery going to cost you? Maybe $10 in total, $5 each, and you can, and that will last you few weeks. So highly suggest you do that. Maintain your health. God has given you life. God has given you health. But unfortunately, some people, they don't value what God has given them. They don't take care of themselves. They want to feel depressed. They think that it is some kind of religious feat, or is some kind of a noble thing to be depressed and to be, down out and to be, in poverty. No, I'm sorry. Where I come from, and where God dwells in the heavens and the earth, where His energy is, He does not guide us and tell us that we have to be in that situation. None of our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and beyond, none of them were living a life of poverty, or none of them were, they were not monks. They were not told to go into the Himalayas and give up life. They lived all to ripe ages and abundance of wealth. They had abundance of wealth. Abraham, he had camels, he had goats, he had sheep, and he had abundance of food to give to the passers-by. So if you're not living your best life, start questioning yourself. What are you doing right and what are you doing wrong, and start fixing yourself. So that's basically, a little bit to guide you, is that please don't, tell yourself, because the worst thing is that you keep telling yourself that you have to carry your cross, that Christian mentality of carry your cross and suffer as Jesus suffered. No, Jesus did not preach such things either. That's Christianity. That's the church control. That is church dogma. We don't have nothing to do with such dogma. We are here for abundance. God's created you abundance. God created you wealthy. God created you abundant. You got to start living it. Start telling yourself that every time you drink your water, I want you to bless that water with the name of God. And you don't have to pronounce no names. You can just say, I bless this water with the name of God, with longevity, with health, with abundance, and then drink it. And bless your food, same way. If you can't, if you don't remember the Hebrew blessings, no problem. If you don't have the Forever-Israel Siddur, no problem. I'm not forcing you to buy anything. I'm simply telling you that if you have the Forever-Israel Siddur, the prayers are listed in the Hebrew. And if you find it difficult to read the Hebrew, just simple prayer, just simple prayer. I bless this food. I bless this food in the name of God, and I praise God and I thank God, and I bless it with abundance. I bless it with longevity of life, and I eat it with thanks. That's it. Simple blessing. Simple blessing on the food, and you eat it. I'm not asking you to do hamotzi, because when you don't know the Hebrew, I'm not forcing you to do the Hebrew. Forget about that. If you don't know, then you don't know. If you know, then you know. There's no point for me to make your life harder by, saying you have to do it in Hebrew and then you have to say it this way. I'm sorry, I don't teach it that way. I don't believe that way. I've never enforced anything like that. But if you're comfortable and you have the Forever-Israel Siddur and you like to do the, prayers in the morning, then sure, encourage you that you can do them. But if you don't have it, then it's okay. Just do what I just told you. Every time you pour salt, hold the salt in your hand. First pour it in your hand. Take salt, whether you're left or right-handed, pour it in your other palm, pray over it. Because salt has energy. Salt's particles can be charged like your computer chips. They can hold storage. So you want to charge that salt with a blessing, and then you want to pour it on your food, and then you want to eat it. Same with the sugar. If you put sugar in your tea or coffee, do the same. Sugar particles, charge them. Remember, from today, charge everything. Charge everything with blessing, and then you do the necessary and eat it. So coming back to, I wanted to look at why, I'm looking at mystically today at the scripture rather than literally, because how and why is it that many of you today are not able to get your desire, not able to get some of you are looking for employment, some of you are looking for business, some of you are looking to propel your business forward, some of you may be looking for great health, and maybe some of you are searching for a partner, a wife, husband, etc. So why is it that you are not getting there? Because some of you ask me, why am I not getting there? And there's a number of reasons for that. And so let's look at that reason. The reason is here because, first of all, everybody is different. So you have to assess yourself. And if you go onto the internet, law of attraction, law of assumption, you look at the internet and there's so many gurus. None of those gurus are helpful to you or me for that matter. Why? Because the information they give is not always like, if somebody's told you, oh, write 55 times 555, write down I am rich 55 times every day, and then do it for 5 days and you get it. And the answer is no, you don't get it. I think that most of us have looked into that and we found that doesn't work. So I can tell you that I've tested it. I've tested the 55.5, the 33.3, and all the other scripting methods out there. None of them work. The only thing that you want to do, the only thing that works, is you just simply do a small list. That's it. Small list of 8 or 10 items. You desire certain items. You put 8-10 items down, and you just do that one time only, and then leave it. And if you do that every day, that helps you. Now, the best thing that I found that works for me, how I manifested my car back home, or how I manifested my house back home, was simply this. I believed in it. First of all, I set my intention that I'm going to have a house and I'm going to have a such and such car. And then I set my intention to my house is going to be 3-bedroom or 4-bedroom, decided on that. And once I set my intention, I just visualize and see. I close my eyes and I remember your false gods. Who are your false gods? It could be your sight that you're subject to. You see it and you say, oh, I'll see it, I'll believe it when I see it. And then when you do that, you subject yourself to your sight. That means you locked yourself in the matrix, and now you're subject to your sight. And unless you see your house, unless you see your job, you never get there, and those things never happen. Because why? Because you're subject to sight. You want the external world to validate you. That's not how it works. You have to validate yourself internally, not externally. You don't need nobody's validation to say to you that you're going to get your house, you're going to get your $200,000 job. For that, you have to do the internal work. When you do the internal work, remember that monk that went up to the Himalayas and lived to 300 years is still alive. And you can go and find his clip on social media, maybe on YouTube, TikTok, whatever. You can find his clip. Just type 300-year monk and you'll see it. My point is this, that you need to look at the Bible, the stories that we have in the Bible. They have ample truth in there to guide you. Now, when we look at the Isaac story, chapter 27 of Genesis, now it came to pass when Yitzhak was old, and his eyes were so dim that he could not see, that he called Esau his older son, and said to him, my son. And he answered him, here I am. And he said, behold, now I'm old, I do not know the day of my death. Now therefore please take your weapons and your quiver and your bow, and go out to the field and hunt game for me. and make me savory food, such as I love, and bring it to me that I may eat them, my soul may give you increase before I die. So he wanted to bless his son before he dies. So what is the story here? Well, he sent his son, which he wanted to give the blessing to Esau, but Jacob took it, and there's a lot of debate on it, and there's no point us debating on it who was right and who was wrong. Simply, the mother felt that Jacob was the right one for the blessing, not the Esau son, and the mother had good reason for that. I explained that in my previous lectures, how the mother knew that, and who was a prophet at the time, who was the priest in the gate and the prophet. We've been all through all of that. So, Rivka, the mother, tells Yaakov that you got to go and you got to do this, and then Yaakov protests that my brother is a hairy man and I'm smooth skinned, and my father will recognize me. And then Rivka says, no, put on the goat skin on your arms so that your father is blind, he cannot see, but he'll feel you. So she gives him the savory food. He goes and gets the so-called hunt. The wife of Isaac, Rebecca, she gives the food to him. And by the way, I'm reading from the Hidden Truths of Brit Scroll 7th edition, which is widely available, Amazon and Lulu Press. So he went to his father and said, my father, and he said, here I am, who are you, my son? Because Isaac couldn't see. And Yaakov said to him, Father, I'm Esau, your Behor, your firstborn. I have done just as you told me. Please arise, sit, and eat of my game, that your soul may bless me. And Yitzhak said to his son, how is it that you have found it so quickly, my son? And he said, because Yudhewahe, your power, brought it to me. Then Yitzhak said to Yaakov, please come near, that I may feel you, my son, whether you are really my son Esau or not. So here is the story, here's the crux, and I will explain this completely to you so you understand it. Yitzhak, who is Isaac, who's supposed to be partially blind, cannot see properly, and he asks his son to feel him, and Isaac comes near to him, and then Isaac says, this looks like it's Yaakov's voice, but his hands are the hands of Esau, because he's got this skin goat covering. Then he said to him, are you really my son Esau? And he said, I am. And then Isaac goes on to bless him, and of course, once the blessing is given, is given. So what is the story here? Mystically speaking, you have a desire. Your desire is to get something. Let's say your desire is to get your $200,000 job, okay? And you're blind meaning that you have a desire and you can only feel the feeling. Now, feel the feeling means that in your inner world, you have to do the work in your inner world. This is something that you have to do. It's not going to just turn up out of nowhere. First of all, you set your intention and you say that I intend to have a $200,000 job, or it might be a sum of money. I intend to have so much money. And then what happens is that you sit down, you can write it down, you can make sure that you know what you want. That's a very important first step. You know what you want. Now, in your senses, remember the false gods. Ears, eyes, smell, taste, touch. Sight, hearing, smell, taste, touch. These are 5 so-called false gods that we subject to. And then we say, oh, it hasn't arrived yet. Oh, this, that, and the other. And this is what delays us. What delays us are our senses. But sometimes when you visualize and you want to see yourself already have the job, you're not gonna see yourself in an interview. That's not the way to be. You have to see yourself with your eyes closed, and you have to see yourself already have the job for the last 4 months, or 6 months, or 8 months, or even whole year. And it's Christmas time, and your boss comes to you, your manager comes to you, and he gives you your letter for bonus. You collect the letter for the Christmas bonus. that you are getting a Christmas bonus on top of your job. That's where you need to be. You need to be future time in your inner imagination, but your here and now is that you're already 1 year ahead. You're already working the job, your $200,000 job, and you already have it, and your manager comes to you to give you the bonus letter that they're giving everybody, and maybe the bottle of wine that they give at Christmas, and some chocolates, candy. So you do that. That's where you need to be. So Isaac, in this regard, Isaac is shown to be blind, but he can only feel. So similarly, mystically and otherwise, you are blind. If you looked in your outer world, if you look in your 3D, you don't see yourself working a $200,000 job, or you don't see yourself with a $5 million business. So why is that? Because you are subjecting yourself to your sight. I don't see it, then I can't have it. Or I don't see it, then I must not have it. This subjection to the matrix, to this hologram, which is being projected from you, is what's stopping you. So how do you work around it? Just as Isaac, we learn in Isaac's story, he felt it. He felt his son's skin. So how do you feel it? Because when he felt it, he said, yeah, these look like the arms of Esau, but the voice is of Jacob. So it's not the voice that matters. It is your feeling. How do I get the feeling that I already have that $200,000 job? I already have the, $5 million in my account. How do I get the feeling? Well, people find it very difficult, very hard to imagine them having a $200,000 job or the sum of money in their account. The way you do it is you do not subject yourself to your senses. In other words, you don't look at outside and say, I don't see the job yet, because that will be a denial. Every time you look out and say, I don't have the job yet, don't do that, because that's a denial of your wish fulfilled. So, like I explained to you, that time I was coming back from the airport, I think a week ago or so, when I was coming back 2 weeks ago, when I was coming back from the airport in Chicago, heavy rain, extremely pouring down. And my friend is saying, I command you to stop. And what does the rain do? Even more rain. It even pours down more. And so what do I teach my friend? I said, the only way to stop the rain is to deny it. You cannot stop the rain by commanding it. You're not Moses. So I'll teach you how to stop the rain. And I taught her, taught her in the car. I said, you deny it. And the way she denied it was I said, now you say, I don't see any rain. And it was pouring down with rain. And I said, you say, I don't see no rain. I see dry weather. Continue with that. I was guiding her. I don't see no rain. I see dry weather. I only see dry weather. I denied the senses. I denied my hearing of the rain sound. I denied my sight of seeing the rain. And so did she. And 5 minutes later, the rain stopped. Pouring down with rain, really extremely fast. And I think it was a Sunday. And I think what happened was that the people were stopping on the side of the road because they couldn't see. Some people just parked up on the right-hand side because they couldn't see the road. And we just carried on driving, slower, of course, 50. But when I told her what to do, she did exactly what I said, and I was there telling her how to do it. 5 minutes later, I'm telling you, the rain completely stopped. It stopped so much that all the way to home, there was no rain. Can you believe that? Yes, that happened. That's what I told her. I said, you need to deny your senses. If you don't deny your senses, you're not gonna find that your command is gonna be successful. So what is it that you need to do? Very, very easy. I can teach you here right from the Bible, just as Isaac said. Isaac said that I feel the hair. It looks like the arm is the arm of Esau, my son. But the voice sounds like it might be Jacob, because he couldn't mimic exactly Esau's voice. So he said it looks like it might be Jacob's voice, but the arm is of Isaac because it's hairy. So He got the feeling. So how do you make the feeling? Well, you need to put yourself in a position of what will you feel like. If you had a $200,000 job, let's say, or if you had $5 million in your bank, how would you feel? What kind of person would you be at that point? What kind of suit will you wear? What kind of clothes will you wear? Will you be wearing a short and a t-shirt, or will you be wearing a three-piece suit with a tie and brand spanking new shoes? Will you be talking like a rich man, or will you be talking like a pauper? Will you be, if you got a $200,000 job, will you be like on the top of the world, and your wife or your friend is congratulating you, or your girlfriend, your wife, they're congratulating you, they're saying, isn't it wonderful that you got an amazing job? And you're saying, yes, thank you. This is the scene that you want to loop in your head every day. Spend morning and evening, morning when you wake up, evening when you sleep, loop that scene. Put yourself in the feeling of looping that scene in your head for a few seconds, 5 seconds, no more than 10. 5 seconds, I think 5 seconds is enough. In 5 seconds, you can hear somebody. You can, if you're having a hard time with imagining the scene, you can use your sense in the scene, your sensory touch, which is what? Your ear. Just hearing, that's all you need. Just the hearing. I used my hearing, just my hearing, when I was abroad 4 years ago. I wanted to build my house, and I just used my hearing, and all I heard was, congratulations, you got a beautiful house. And I had a beautiful house. That's all I heard. I heard people around me congratulating me, not my wife, but other people who I knew. They congratulated me, saying that you have a beautiful house, and I said thank you. That's it, 5 second scene, and I loop it, and guess what? I have a house in over there right now. I have my car parked up over there, and I produced the car. How did I produce the car? Very similarly, I had to get the feeling of the car. I didn't know what it felt like to sit in that car, so I went to the garage. I made an appointment. There was no need for an appointment over there with the garage, and neither over here. You just go to the garage, you find any car, especially that one that you want, and that's there, and you just ask the garage people that you like to sit in the car and feel it, and they will allow you to do that. So you can sit in the car, you get a good feeling of the car, good smell of the leather, get a feeling of the steering wheel, and you also get if they allow you to start it, get a hearing of the noise of the engine. Just that maybe 2 or 3 minutes of that feeling is what will allow you to bring that car into your life. Once you get that feeling, that's what I did. I got the feeling of the car, what it felt like, and I came home. I needed about, I think it was like, my goodness, it was maybe at the time about $25,000 or whatever dollars I needed to purchase the car, and I didn't have the money when I went to the garage. Didn't have $25,000-$30,000 to buy the car, and then what happened? I got a letter from my employer. Once I saw the car in my mind, I got a letter from my employer in the UK who I worked for. They said that you have your pension, and would you like to take it now, or would you like to leave it till later? And I said, I'll take it now. And I got the pension, and I used the pension to purchase a car outright. See, once I decided that I wanted it, then God made a way for me to receive it. So you have to decide to have it, and God will make a way for you to receive it. And maybe you have a different situation. Maybe you don't have a $100,000 pension private pension that you can take out. Mine was slightly more than that, and I used the pension to not only buy one car. I got actually 2 cars with that. I got a small one for my wife, and the slightly bigger one for me. So my pension allowed me, my private pension, not my government pension, but my private pension allowed me to purchase 2 vehicles instead of 1. So the thing is this, but I believed in it. I believed in it so much, I felt it real. I felt the congratulations real from the people around me. So you need to put yourself into that feeling. So Yaakov, Yaakov wore that, hair to pretend to be Isaac, and then pretend to be Esau. So Isaac, thought this is Esau. So you have to tell your senses. Your senses is what needs to believe internally, not outside, internally. So how do you make it work that you have the $200,000 job? Okay, the way you make it work is when you close your eyes and you put yourself in a state akin to sleep, and maybe sometimes it's difficult for people to do that, and that's okay, because what you can do is you can breathe in 4 times. There's a certain breath work that you need to do, and the breath work, I wrote it down over here. Let me see if I can find the breathing timing. Yeah, here it is. So the breath work, you breathe in for 4, you breathe in, and then you hold for 7, and you breathe out for 8. The second one is you breathe in for 6, hold for 2, breathe out for 4. Or you can just do it similar to this. You breathe in for 4, you breathe in, count up to 4, hold for 8, and then breathe out for 4. Do the second time the same thing. Do the third time the same thing. Then the 4th time, you breathe in for 10, slowly. And you count to 10, slowly. Don't, try to do it rapidly. Do it very slowly and count to 10. Hold for 10, out for 10. You do that about twice, and you're ready now. You're ready for your work to imagine. Now you can close your eyes, and you can try to put yourself in a state, a drowsy state, if you're able to make yourself relaxed. Make yourself relaxed. And if you're having difficulty, then do it in the morning upon waking up, and do it at night upon sleeping. And then just start your imagination and start using your perception, using your hearing. You're already in the job for 1 year, and your manager comes to you and hands you a bonus check for your job. And he's very happy with your work. Your manager comes and tells you by your name, I'm very happy with your work. You are an asset to the company, and this is, this $3,000 or $5,000, whatever it is your bonus for the year. And or the other way to do it is that you're already in the job, and you inside your inner work, you are having a conversation with some friend, and the friend is telling you that you really have a $200,000 job, and you say yes, and I've been doing it. I've been doing it for 6 months now, and it's great. It's working great for me. So you got to put yourself into the future, but you're in the present. You're in the present, okay? But you put yourself into the future. Same for the money. If you want to believe that you have $5 million, or even it could be a greater amount, the work is the same. Whether it's 5 million, 10 million, 50 million, the work is exactly the same. You close your eyes and you open your banking app, and you open it and you see that you had that 5 million, 10 million, whatever it is you desire. It's in there. Now, how do you feel it? Well, you got to transform yourself to the person who has 10 million, 15 million, 30 million, whatever amounts you desire. How do you feel that? Well, if you had, let me hypothetically say that you have $30 million. How would you feel? Would you feel the same person that you are now? If you had 30 million? No, you wouldn't. You would have a certain kind of peace. I'm not saying you're going to be jumping up like, jumping jacks. I'm not saying that. You don't need to be jumping jacks. You may have a certain kind of peace. You may have a certain kind of security. You may have a certain kind of gratitude. You're very grateful to God that you have that money. You're very extremely satisfied. You get up every day because you love life, and you are so excited because now you can buy your wife whatever she desires without worrying about the cost. So you put yourself into that state, and you got to keep putting yourself into that state every day, morning and evening. When you put yourself into that state morning and evening, you have to do the internal work. If you do the internal work, then the external world, the hologram, the matrix is plastic. It will transform and show you exactly what you are. Now, by the way, Neville believed, when we read the book of John, and if I can pull it up, the book of John, let me see what the reference is on the Bible here. Give me a moment and I'll pull it up. So in the book of John, chapter 1, reading from the Hidden Truths Hebraic Scroll, 7th edition, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with Yud-Heh-Wah-Heh, and the Word was the Yud-Heh-Wah-Heh. The same was in the beginning with Yud-Heh-Wah-Heh. All things were made through Him, and without Him. So in the English language, it kind of translates into, in the beginning was a Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Something similar to those in the KJV. So what does that mean? Neville believed, and Neville taught, when Neville was around, he's a great teacher when he was around, he taught that the word that is spoken about here being God, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, he said that word is your inner conversation. It's your inner talk. Your inner talk is connected to God. And he believed and he taught that if you have the right inner conversation, that you will not sabotage yourself. In other words, if your inner conversation is always going to be putting yourself down, and you say to yourself, well, how can I get a $200,000 job? What qualifications do I have? Things like that. Or if you put yourself down by denying your potential, as many people do, they deny themselves their potential, and they keep looking for external validation. Oh, they are waiting for they're waiting for the agency to contact them, rather than they go to the agency and make the effort to first do the inner work, and then they get make the contact with the agency. Then the agency comes and says, hey, there's a job here for you. Do you want to do it? And you go and you do the necessary, you get the job. So my point is, some people just sit on their laurels, and they never find their job. Why? Because they're sitting on their laurels waiting for the agency to turn up, and the agency never turns up. Listen, when I was in America in 1998, I came to America in 1998. No, not 1998. 1997. I was in America. And you know how I got into America? It's a really interesting story. I was in the UK working my job. I was working with, which company was it? Might have been with Goldman Sachs in Fleet Street. I was in Fleet Street working for Goldman Sachs, and my friend says to me, my Ghanaian friend, he says to me, we do a bet. And he says to me that I think that this is your best salary you're going to get. I was on $35,000. I was on around $35,000 at the time. And he said to me, I think that this is it. I don't think you're going to go any further. Do you? And I said to him, okay, we have a pound bet. He said, okay, we have a pound bet. And I said, my next job will be, he said, what will be your salary? He asked me the question, what will be your salary? And I said, in my next job, my salary will be $50,000. By the way, this is back in 1997. You can work out how many years ago. So I said, my job will be $50,000 salary, and I will be in America. He goes, no way. You are telling me that you're going to get yourself into America and have a job with a $50,000 salary? I said, yes. We got a bet? He said, yes, we have a bet. He goes, I don't think you'll make it. I said, I don't care what you think. I'll show you that I'm going to be there earning a $50,000 salary. And I prepared myself in my, I had the intention, I'm going to have a job in America that's going to pay me minimum $50,000. And I'm going to have a ticket to America. The company's going to, sponsor me to go over there. And so what I do, I'm sitting down, I go to work, I come back home from London, and I just pick up the phone, and America is like 4 hours difference. It's still only morning over there, while it's our evening, America is like afternoon. So I pick up a phone and I phone the agency. I think it was called Computer People. I phoned Computer People, once an agency in the New York area. So I phone them and I say, they say, how can we help you, sir? I said, I want a job in America. They say, oh, I said, I'm in England. They said, okay. And they said, there goes to me, that, sir, in order for us to give you a job, there has to be an interview, and you have to pass a technical test. So no problem. Whatever test you have, I could pass it, no problem. Let me know. And the girl goes, oh yeah, we do have a vacancy for a job, and let me see what I can do. So the girl goes away. I already decided I want this job. I'm going to be in America. I already decided I'm going to be in America, and nothing's going to stop me from getting there. I'm going to have this job. And I already believed in it. I decided it. I, already see myself in America in my mind's eye. And what happens, the girl comes back. She says, we arranged the interview. You have to do an interview with 3 technical people in, I think it was the First Boston Bank. These men, I'm in my bedroom now. These men come, they were highly technical, and they asked me all technical questions regarding networks. Because I was in IT, a software engineer, they asked me all these different questions about the networks and what you do and what happens and blah, blah, blah. And I answer, boom, 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 like this. I answered all their questions. And they said, wow, this guy is something. We want this man to come and work for us. And so they give the go-ahead to the agency that we want this guy, he's really good. And guess what? They say, okay, we'll send you your H-1B visa. It was H-1B in those days for people going to America. I get my visa, and before you know it, 3 months later, I'm in America. And guess what my friend is saying? My friend can't believe his eyes. He's like, my goodness, what magic you got? How can you do this? Because, you jump from $35,000 to what, $50,000 job. I said, no, not 50, $52,000 starting. And they said, we'll pay you $60,000 after 6 months, and then you just get increments. And I said, but that's not the end. That's just the beginning. I said, I'm going to be on $70,000, $80,000 over there. So anyway, so I go to America, and my friend is, my goodness, he's like gobsmacked. He just doesn't know what to say. So, and I was working in America. And then when I'm working in America, I got my job and everything, and I'm living in New Jersey at the time. And I was living in an area called Roselle Park. If you know New Jersey, you know where Roselle Park is, a heavily Jewish area. So I was living there, and then my son, he had the problem with the illness, and my wife is, crying on the phone and saying, oh, the doctor diagnosed him with some kind of illness, and, would you come back and we'd take him to the doctor or something. So I said, okay, if I have to go back, I have to go back for my son. We'll see what we can do, because, he needed a special school and everything. So now, going from 52, I have $52,000 job and a green card, right, ready for me. And, I do my little tenure in America, and I said to my employer, I have to go back, for my son has got some illness, and I need to go look at him, and then, maybe I'll return. And so he says, okay. And then what happens is that my wife is saying to me, but what you going to do, you're going to give up your job, then you're going to be unemployed. But I'm not like these people, over here just sitting on their laurels on their hands and waiting for their job to turn up. I said to my wife, listen, my word, right, is like God's word. It'll never come back void. I said, before I land in UK, I'm going to have interviews lined up. This is my words to my wife. I'm going to have interviews lined up, that I'm going to have a job before I enter my house. And guess what? I phoned the agency. I say, I'm coming to London. I, have banking experience. I have this knowledge, and I need a job in London. And can you arrange me the interviews? So the woman arranges 3 interviews for me. Bank of Namura International. Then there was an American bank, and then there was another British bank. Merchant banks, 3 merchant banks. 3 interviews, and I go to the first one, and the man says that he takes my interview, is very happy. He says, I'll let you know in the afternoon. I go to the second one, Bear Stearns with the second bank, and Bear Stearns offers me the job. They say to me that we'll give you $45,000 salary, and plus bonuses. I say, okay, let me think about it. And then I wait for the Namura International, and Namura International come back in the afternoon, and I'm not even home yet, by the way. I'm still from the airport. I go straight to the interview, and Namura International offers me $100,000 contract, and I say, I'll take it. And so I'm in $100,000 salary from where? From America to the UK with what? With my belief that I'm going to have a job before I enter home. That's the kind of belief you need. You don't need this, pity kind of pity reference belief. Oh, what I'm going to do? Oh, what's going to happen? My inner conversation wasn't this. Oh, what's going to happen? Oh, I'm not going to be unemployed. I have to go to the Social Security office. No, baloney. Forget about that nonsense. I had such a strong faith in myself, such a strong belief in myself. I said, no, I'm going to have my job before I enter my house. And, I just put myself in that frame of mind that I'm going to have the job before I enter my home. And guess what? Before I enter home, I had 2 jobs. I didn't even go to the 3rd interview because it was like late in the afternoon. So forget about it. I don't need it. I already got 2 jobs. I go home and I select the 2nd one, and I don't take the bear stearns. Remember, bear stearns ended up broke afterwards. They disappeared. So, and Namura International had a beautiful job over there. So this is talking about in 1997 period. This is the belief you need to carry. You need to carry the belief of, your belief needs to be cemented. You need to believe in yourself more than anybody else. Your wife, your cousin, your brother, your sister, your mother, your father, they have their own beliefs. They're not going to be believing for you. They have their own beliefs. But your belief needs to surpass all of their beliefs. You don't need their validation. I did not need the validation of my wife to say, hey, how great man you are, or how great engineer you are that you can get. My wife was like, just like everybody else's wife, oh, what's going to happen? How are you going to work? And you're going to lose your job. I said, no, stop. I said to my wife, stop. Me, I'm special. I said, I'm special. As soon as I enter that country, I'm going to have the job before I even enter home. You're going to see I'm going to line up interviews. I said to my wife, I'm going to line up the interviews. And you know what? Before I entered the country, 3 interviews lined up. And 2 interviews gave me the job. and in 2 interviews, I had the job. So this is the belief I'm telling you to adopt. I'm telling you to stop this BS that you're into. Stop this nonsense that you're all into. Oh, waiting for somebody to call you. What kind of life is that? Waiting for somebody to call you? No, you need to decide what you want in your life. And you need to write it down. And I didn't write it down, by the way. I believed in it so hard that I just memorized it. My memory is so good, right? I memorized it. And you can write it or you can memorize it. You can be like me and memorize it. Learn from your teacher. What I did, you do the same. You believe in it, and then you just see yourself. You see yourself in your imagination with that job. You're holding the check. You're holding that bonus check in your hand. That's where you need to be. So you don't need to think, oh, what shall I do and which one? And I don't know. Doubt is the killer of your desire. Doubt and external validation are killers. If you're going to look for external validation from your brother, sister, mother, wife, you'll never get there. You need to believe in yourself. And I am your teacher, and I'm giving you the authority, and I'm giving you the blessing to go out there and conquer the world. The world is your oyster. I'm telling you that. You don't need nobody's validation. My blessing will carry you forward. Go in the name of the Kohen. In the name of the Kohen, try my power. Try my power for a change. And you'll never see defeat. And you'll never see you being defeated. You will see victory everywhere you go. You go in the name of the Kohen. Just like, we walked in the name of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. But I'm telling you even more than that. I had a student, when she was alive, I gave her a little test. I said, listen, I'm not going to tell you which desire that you want. But I'm going to tell you this. Just try this for once. Just once and tell me the result. You go in my name. You ask for something in my name, and if you get it, you tell me. If you don't get it, you tell me. You tell me that, no, I use your name, Kohen, and I failed, and I will believe you, but you'll never fail. I guarantee you'll never fail. And that woman, she went in my name, and she got her desire. This is how powerful it is. I am behind that name, My energy, my blessings, and my authority as a Kohen is behind that name. And no one's going to teach you this. You're not going to learn this from any churches. Churches got nothing to teach you other than carry your cross and live like a pauper. You don't live like a pauper? Go ahead, live your life like a pauper and die, when you're 60, 65, die before even you get your pension. You don't want that life. You want the life of blessings. You want the life of abundance, like our forefathers had, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. Life of blessings. Jacob, unfortunately, our father, was a little bit doubtful. He had his little few cringes and issues. But Abraham didn't. Abraham had none of those issues. Abraham showed to be exemplary example, and we need to follow the example of Abraham. Telling you, we need to follow that example. Exemplary example. And if you follow the example of Abraham, you'll never go wrong. So, remember your inner conversation. Remember what I said, your inner conversation needs to be spot on. You need to check yourself. If your inner conversation is negative, stop it. Check yourself. Stop it. Tell yourself in your inner conversation that you are great, you are worthy, and you are abundant. You were created for abundance, and you have that desire that you desire. If you desire your job, $200,000, no problem. You have the $200,000 job. If you desire $5 million business, you have it. If you desire $10 million in your account, you have it. What would you be doing? How will you be traveling? Will you go to Dubai? Will you go to some other country? Thailand maybe? Where will you go? When you have all those things, where will you go? Philippines? Where will you go? Ask yourself the question. And then all you got to see in your mind's eye is that you have that what you desire, and your friend, your girlfriend, your wife, spouse, partner, whoever you're close with, whoever likes you, whoever is for you. You want to be people who are for you, not against you. That person who's for you is congratulating you or asking you a question. You're saying, yeah, boom, 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 and you have it. You have it. And you live in that. You live in that every day. And doesn't mean that you have to be jumping up and down every day. No, you don't. I didn't jump up and down. I just believed in it. I believed that I could get to America, in England, and get my job. Impossible. Have you ever heard anybody do that? I've never heard of anybody do that, but I did it. I just picked up the phone and phoned computer people. I want a job in America. That's how I got my job. So start, from today. Start from today. Start using your inner conversation is what builds your external world. If your inner conversation is negative, if you're always putting yourself down, if you're always telling yourself, oh, how am I going to do it? Oh, how am I going to get there? When is that interview going to come? How am I going to make to my $200,000 job? If you're putting yourself down, you'll never get there. Your inner world, the word of God in you, is what's going to bring your outer world. Few days later, few weeks later, you're going to see that. Because you denied yourself, because you didn't believe it, now you didn't get that job. You got kicked out, or you didn't even get the interview. Why? Because you didn't believe in it. You believed that you couldn't get it. So your results are exactly what you say. Neville spoke about a woman. Neville gave the example of a woman, and he said that there was a woman who came to him, and she, was very depressed. And of course, depression is depression is not the way to your external desire, by the way. So she was very depressed that she hadn't spoken to her son for a number of years. And they had some kind of a, mother and son thing going on. And the son never responded to the mother for 2 years. And then the mother, Neville told the mother kept, remunerating on the old thing. And the son told the mother, the son never contacted the mother. And so Neville told the mother, listen, drop all this nonsense of, depression. He said, listen, this is what you do. You, in your imagination, you write a letter to your son, and or you get in your imagination, you're getting a letter from your son. Your son is responding to you after all this time, and is very happy to come and see you. And you see your son in your imagination in the way you like to see him presently. And so she follows through with what Neville described her. She goes and practices that, and then a few weeks later, her son contacts her, and their relationship restores wonderfully. What changed? What changed was her inner world. In her inner world before, she was cringing, she was depressed, she felt, difficult to reach her son. So the external world only validated what she believed. It made it harder for her to see her son. Same way, in the Neville described another story where he said there was a woman that was his landlord or landlady. And his landlady, he always saw her as very hard, very stern, not very talkative, and, kind of in a frown all the time. And he said, one day I decided that version of that woman is what I created. I created that woman to be, with a frown and with a hard face and not talking. He says, now I'm going to imagine something different. So Neville sat there in his sad state akin to sleep, and he imagined that this woman was very kind. The landlady is very kind. The landlady has a smile on her face, and the landlady has a really nice conversation with Neville in his imagination. And so he, made a very small, short scene in which he sees his landlady smiling coming down the stairs. And he just repeats that scene, in his imagination. Maybe 8-10 times he loops it, and then he goes to sleep. And then he wakes up, and then few days later, he sees his landlady just as he made her in his imagination. The landlady is coming downstairs with a smile on her face for the first time, and she speaks really kindly with Neville. So whatever you are seeing out there, if you're finding that you are unemployed because people are not responding to you, is because what you believe is what you talk to yourself all day. Yes, this jabber that you do in your head all day, that maybe you're no good, maybe God didn't bless you, maybe this, maybe that. Stop this baloney. Stop it. Now start telling yourself that God has blessed you, that God has blessed you with abundance, that you are meant to be here with full abundance. You're meant to have a beautiful life. You're meant to have this, 6-figure or 5-figure job. You're meant to have this job. You're meant to be getting paid. You are getting paid. Now put yourself in you are getting paid. God has blessed you, that you are in a blessing, that God loves you, that God sent you here to experience His love. Now start believing that and start checking yourself. Your inner conversation should be that you are great, that everybody wants to employ you. What's your inner conversation? Everybody wants to employ you. You're very important. You got you got great skills. Even if you might have no skills, you got to keep telling yourself, I've got great skills. I'm highly skilled. Everybody wants to employ me. Employers want me. All these big employers, Google, Microsoft, they all want me because I'm very highly skilled. Whoever you're working, whoever you want to work for, they all want you. So now start telling yourself that all these employers want to employ you because you're highly skilled, you're highly favored, you are chosen, you are desired, you're luxury coded, you're wealth coded. Start telling yourself that now. That I'm luxury coded, I'm wealth coded, I'm great, all these employers want me, I have great skills. Start rewiring your internal inner conversation, the word of God. That affects you. That affects your external environment. That will affect your external environment. And so you need to start doing it this way now. And I want to hear from you. I want to hear from my students who do that and succeed. Please write to me and let me know that you succeeded. I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you to follow this through and be blessed in your life. And I'm blessed by your testimony. And I'm looking forward to great testimonies coming from you. I'm looking forward to it. And I know that you're going to succeed. I know you're going to be blessed. So I leave you with a blessing on the Sabbath. Leave you with a blessing. 6 days. 6 days you work, 7 days your Sabbath. Mystically speaking, 6 days, you do your imaginative act. 6 days 7 days you can relax. Completely detach from it. And then start again on Sunday until it comes to pass. But remember, your inner conversation is what makes your outer world. Start changing your inner conversation. Start telling yourself how great you are. Start telling yourself how great business acumen you have. Start telling yourself that you have this amount in your bank. And you might say, but Rabbi, I only have $10 balance. Who cares you got $10 balance? What did I just tell you earlier about the rain? Deny with your senses. Stop subjecting yourself to the false gods that you worship, that you've been taught to worship for all these years. So deny your senses. Believe that you have $5 million in your account. Continue to believe you have $5 million in your account. It's like me telling my wife over there, saying to her, where is my remote control of my 100-inch LED TV? And my wife's laughing. She's laughing at me. 100-inch TV, I don't see it. I said, I see it. I see it on the wall. But where is my remote control? You got to put yourself there. And I'm just giving an example. I'm giving an example. And I say to my wife, that, I'm Sheikh Al-Hamdani, son of Sheikh Al-Mansur, son of Sheikh Al-Makhtoum. And my wife laughs. And my friend laughs at me. They're laughing. I tell you, they had the biggest laugh, right? And I laughed as well. And I said, you don't believe it? I am. You don't believe it? I am. I'm the Prince of Dubai. I don't care what you laugh at. So anyway, make it fun. Make your life fun. Be fun. Be somebody else for a change. Be a different identity. A rich person. Billionaire. Put yourself in the identity of a billionaire. Then you will get somewhere. In your inner conversation, you should always praise yourself. Always tell yourself how good you are. Always love yourself. Be kind to yourself. And stop this depression. Because, this depression God didn't send you here for depression. Serve your life for the good you can have in life. If you can be useful for somebody who's struggling in life, think how that person will appreciate you. When you're helping somebody who's poor, think how they can appreciate what you did for them. But how can you do that if you don't get there for yourself? How can you help somebody? So think that you are here on the planet to help people, not only to bless yourself, but to bless them. Then you see your life change. Then you're going to see your life change extremely. This is why I said to you last time that if you want to give, if you want to jumpstart your life, if you want to jump it, then you give me $100, and I'll donate on your behalf flour, FLOUR. I'll donate it, flour, back home, and I will say that it's on such and such person's name. And you will see the blessing come back to you. The biggest blessing you're going to get is from donation of flour to poor people. That's the biggest blessing you're going to get. That's going to jumpstart your career. That's going to jumpstart your abundance life. If you feel your life is stuck, send me the $100 and say, Cohen, I want you to use this $100 to bless poor people with flour. And I will buy 5 kilogram bags of flour and I'll donate it on your behalf. I'll get it done for you within a few days. And you're gonna find the returns of that in your life. Yeah, you will find returns. I'm telling you, you will find returns, and you will say, yep, I really had a teacher who knew what he's talking about. It's not one of these, preachers in the church, just, let's pray, let's everybody pray together. And then when nothing happens, they're like, oh, well, maybe God's delaying it. No, God doesn't delay nothing. God hears your prayers instantly. God will answer you instantly. God will show you instantly. Put yourself in the belief state. Put yourself in the having state. Then you will see the results. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful, wonderful Sabbath. Until next week, Shabbat Shalom to my friends and family. Love you all. Todah and Shalom Shalom.